We're live yet? This is Reginal Drummer. I think we're live, but here we go. For everybody joining us out here, this is our live stream of the We Are Ready one-on-one session. Tonight, I'm Reginald Drummer, the peopleologist and your information broker for this evening. As we engage in conversation, for everybody that's joining us, uh, please come on in. It's going to be pretty exciting. I've actually I'm texting uh, my uh, guest as we speak so that she can use the link. We're going to be talking about mental health. We're going to be talking about mental health during, before, during, and after COVID-19. However you look at our current situation we are in, a lot that's happening is draining our mental capacity. Okay, we always try to throw a caveat in there to let you know that we do this every week, and we're streaming and talking to people like you and I. Okay, believe it or not, we are at war. We are in a battle, and this battle is a battle that started long before we got here. Okay, and and one of the strongest parts of this battle is dealing with what's going on up here, our mind. And I brought a special guest that's going to be sharing some information when it comes down to our mental health, our capacity to deal with what's going on right now. Whether it was before we ever heard of COVID 19 or during COVID 19 or after COVID 19, there's always a situation that's tickling us on our minds. And we have to figure out some way to deal with it. Okay. If you ignore it, it could be something as close to you as your family or friends, or it could be something as distant from you as the current situation in Afghanistan or the situation down in the Gulf with the current storm that's breeding. Many of the challenges that we have been indoctrinated into our minds from birth, and we've been dealing with them. And we might wonder, um, what do we need to deal with this stuff? You know, everything uh, we need is already here. We encourage people to pray, to fast, to meditate, to strategize, and come up with solutions for you and your family. However, there are times that even through prayer, uh, meditation, and just fasting, that you can't get it done. Sometimes you're going to have some professional help. Sometimes you're going to have to go outside of your current circle of influence to get some help. And especially in Black, Brown, Indigenous communities, we have to be ready. Uh, Many of the things that we try to handle alone could put us in a compromised position when it comes down to our health. I think my guest just made it in. Uh, she's a mental health therapist, a life coach, and lifestyle consultant. That's Miss Sharia Thomas. Trying to see if you're into the feed right now, Miss Thomas. Are you there? Good afternoon. How you doing? Can you hear me? I think she'll be joining us as soon as our moderator opens up the room so she can come in. Like I said, we're using this format and streaming it out to everybody in Facebook, Instagram, and all of those spaces. But tonight, we definitely want to focus on our mental health. What can we do to prepare ourselves or put ourselves in a better position when it comes down to dealing with what's going on currently. Okay, whether you're dealing with the division in the country, dealing with the vaccinated, the unvaccinated, the mask wearers, the non-mask wearers, we put ourselves in a position mentally where we're challenged. Sometimes the disease itself might not be a problem. It's dealing with it, dealing with the aftermath, dealing with the anxiety, dealing with the stress, ongoing stress. I have many people that call and Ms. Thomas, are you there? I have many people
Greetings,
that
good
call me.
evening. Can you hear me?
Hey, good afternoon, Ms. Thomas. How you doing?
I'm doing well, drummer. How are you this evening?
You're doing great. It's good to hear you. It's good to have you on board. Uh, I know you got some critical information. I was going over a little bit of your bio with the audience, and I know it's a little background noise in there.
Yes, I do apologize. I am actually and about myself, so I do apologize for any loud noise in the back.
Okay, we'll try to minimize it a little bit, but I know you bring a plethora of talent. Uh, Being a coach, mental health therapist, and just a lifestyle consultant. And maybe you can just share with the audience this evening some of the things that you specialize in and some of the things that you're seeing before, during, and after this situation we currently in.
Most definitely, drummer, and thanks again for having me. And when it comes to mental health, especially during this time, after we consider after COVID, but we're also in the midst of, as what they say, different variants of COVID. So we're still in the midst of it all. But many people have awakened more to the importance of mental health and ensuring that they are incorporating the importance of taking care of our mental health. So first off, I just want to say that taking care of our health, it's not just physical, it's mental, emotional, and it's spiritual. And as a mental health therapist that I see I've been in the field for over 15 years now, and there was definitely a
Are you there? I know we're having a little problem with the feed, but for everybody that's joining us tonight on a We Are Ready session, we'll be talking about mental health and how it affects you and your family. Uh, Ms. Thomas, as she joins us back, will be going into some details when it comes down to what can we do uh, and what type of. Yes, ma'am. Are you back?
I
There was
am. Can you hear
some.
me now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You coming in loud and clear.
Okay, good deal. So I was just saying, yes, it's really about our mental health. Our health overall is essential, and mental health is at the cornerstone. And really, I've been in this field for over 15 years assisting clients. And if I were to give information as it relates to those who want to be more in the know when it comes to their mental health, unfortunately, during this pandemic, COVID, and the rises where the numbers they say, are higher than they have been, take that or leave it, is it's still affecting people in terms of fear and being able to not just only cope, but really creating a new type of life that focuses on your overall well-being, mental, physical, mental, and emotional. I would want to say, first off, understanding that what I've found in my field is that anxiety, depression, Suicidal ideations, meaning having suicidal thoughts, has really been on the rise for all races and all ethnicities. A big change in our own community in terms of being an African American, but not just only our community, but other ethnicities as well. Our youth are really, really struggling. Even back, it's been its highest in terms of seeing depression and anxiety for ages 11 to 17, with a rise of 9% since 2014, actually, forgive me. And I really want to just give an understanding of what we may see when it comes to some signs of anxiety or depression. Are you still able to hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good deal. So just being aware of if you're experiencing any type of nervousness, stress, feeling timid, uneasy, worried. Oftentimes people don't identify with the emotion when it comes to mental health disorders. They're more connected to behavioral wise or some signs. So if there's problem with concentrating, problems focusing, even having more headaches, more muscle tension, even like nervous behaviors like biting your nails, wanting to avoid situations, avoid places, knowing that that might be a heightened level of anxiety. Now, when it comes to understanding anxiety, it's not about not having anxiety at all. You know, there's a level of low levels of anxiety that really can help to motivate us. Say that we are preparing for uh, a new job, or even for a teenager, they're preparing for a test, for a college student. So having that small level of anxiety actually can motivate someone to get things done. So it's okay to experience the emotions. It's just the frequency of how long it's happening, the heightened feeling in terms of how it affects your body, that tension, and noticing those symptoms can really alert you to experience some levels of anxiety. When it comes to depression, definitely depression is another one that has really been on the rise as well. When it comes to depression, I just want to give us some stats here, that just a little bit of stats, that since September 2020, so just about almost a year from now, last year, that is 2020, 8 out of 10 people were experiencing moderate to severe symptoms of depression and anxiety. And this is from a reputable source called Mental Health America, where they actually polled up to 1.5 million people. So this is something that we just want to be aware of. You know, I know it's a big stigma when it comes to mental health, especially when it comes to our ethnical groups and being fearful, leery of wanting to even seek help, but it's definitely necessary. And there's so many resources other than, say, if you were to go typically to a private practice, because many may not have insurance. But if you work, I would definitely encourage someone to definitely look into what their health benefits are, because normally they do cover mental health. It might be called behavioral health benefits, and being aware of utilizing that. Also, EAP, meaning Employee Assistance Program, and having those free services as a result of your job that you're on if you don't have the proper insurance. Just kind of looking at, I do want to go a little bit more detail in terms of experiencing depression and understanding some of the signs and symptoms of depression. When you feel, of course, down, we say the typical down, but anyone can feel down. But there's more sense of emptiness, depression, more of a sense of loneliness, and even some guilt and shame can be associated with depression. Also considering some changes in your appetite. The appetite might decrease. It may even increase, eating more or eating less, more of having crying spells where people will say, I've just been crying for no reason at all. And some may not have crying spells at all. It may be just more of a lack of motivation, not wanting to do what you used to do, lack of interest in what you may have been interested in. And so noticing those small signs, the typical you before COVID, before 2020, that where you were more active, and we know that it really caused the nation, the world, to really shut down and go into basically isolation, as it's called, quarantine mode, that it really prevented people from being as active as they used to. And so many were definitely affected by that. Like I said, 8 out of 10 out of just a majority of people have been impacted by depression, anxiety, suicidal ideation, suicidal thought, meaning you want to harm yourself, um, take your life. So these are sensitive topics to talk about, but it's definitely essential that we have, and I appreciate, Drummer giving this platform so we can talk openly and know that there is help available out there, and to seek it, um, as well. And, also sometimes we may not have the resources. Say that someone is unemployed, because many have lost their livelihood in terms of jobs, and have lost employment. There are resources still out there that are free. I would definitely encourage others to look at. There's a organization that comes to mind called NAMI. It's NAMI, National Alliance of Mental Illness. Even myself, because I wanted to start giving back more, that I've created a free wellness community. It's virtual, and it's called Blissful and Radiant Wellness, because I want to give some tips, resources for those that may not have the financial means, to be able to, say, seek professional help, but at the same time can receive some resources to help them in really staying in a well space. I hope you can still hear
Definitely.
me, Drummer. Are you still there?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Okay, great, good deal. So with that just being said, I just want to ensure that I do leave you with, I want to leave you all with some tips that you can take away and you can start applying to your life. Here's the thing when it comes to our mental health, and I try to first be not just an advocate, but be a proponent myself and live the lifestyle, and that, not just talk about it, but be about it. And is ensuring that we start off is with our daily habits. There is a level of us being able to manage stress, which is necessary in being able to cope when crisis comes up, such as what we are experiencing and have experienced over this past year and a half or so, is having the skills, the coping skills, to be able to navigate the crisis that come up. And sometimes we never learn that for some. But just some takeaways I like to leave your listeners and viewers with, Drummer, is just a few tips for just boosting, lifting your mental health. Number one would be this, and I give this to anyone that I run across, is gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. If we can at least pick three things every single day, three things that you're grateful for. It could be starting with because I've dealt with, some clients who have been so depressed, they're like, they cannot think of what that could be because negative thinking is a part of depression. That critical evaluation of self is very big when it comes to depression. But even if you go from A to Z and start with A, I'm grateful for, hey, an apple, whatever it may be, the whole point is really to help to shift your focus and bring a positive perspective in whatever that might be. And we want to start as small as possible. That's definitely one tip. 3 things you're grateful for, maybe even 3 different things. That's really the best thing. 3 different things you're grateful for. But if you can hold on to those 3, that's wonderful. Another one is in starting our day, that I call it winning your day. Winning the day is how we start off with our day. And so when it comes to, believe it or not, coffee, a small jolt. I'm not a big coffee drinker, but I drink green tea. If you're not a coffee drinker and you're very sensitive to caffeine, such as myself, is drinking a half a cup of coffee, a cup of coffee, or some green tea that can really boost levels of depression because of the healthy level of caffeine. Just a jolt that really can help to boost your day. That is not something that's really going to negatively impact you unless you have that true sensitivity, to caffeine. But green tea definitely can be effective. Another one I would say is, I want to give a quote that I I'm big on just affirmations, things that we say to ourselves, because that is a way of being able to reprogram. Sometimes we do need to reprogram our brains, our minds, so that we get out of how we were raised, how in terms of what our life experiences are, so we change that. But a big quote that really kind of stands out to me is, you don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step. And
Mm,
that actually is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., meaning that you want to at least start. It's easy to think about, well, I want to do this, and sometimes even starting it doesn't happen because you get so overwhelmed of the process. But starting, being able to think about whatever that little small thing may be. Another tip I want to give you is experiment, experiment, experiment. Now, what do I mean by that? We want to start something new. We want to allow that creative mind to take place. Because when our mind is in that emotional part, there's what we consider more of our rational mind, our emotional mind, but we want to get into wise mind. And in wise mind is our creativeness, our creativity. So experiment, do something that you normally wouldn't do, whether it is, what comes to mind is even what I've uh, for myself and even others is take up something that you may have wanted to do in the past but started. Do a recipe. I'm big on music and creating new music, writing music, singing music, learn a new song, learn a new dance. So experiment with something new that you never have done before. And the whole point of that is that we want to open up that creativity, the creative part of our mind that moves us away from the part of our brain that is can really be absorbed in terms of the negativity, because it's only natural and normal that as human beings, not one person on this planet that does not have negative thoughts. It's just how we feed them. And so if we do not feed into them, then we can shift them and shift our focus to something more positive or just neutral. So I think that's all I have to give for today. I appreciate this time, Drummer. Thank you for having me on. I'm definitely welcome and open to any questions, any concerns. As you all can see, my website is up. It's shariathomas.com. I am in private practice. I do assist others when it comes to mental health, that means I diagnose, I treat, I assist people from start to finish, but not just for your mental health. I actually am a certified life coach and with the certification in nutrition as well. So I really incorporate the whole health of a person, mind, body, heart, and soul. I'm really big on a holistic approach when it comes to helping my clients and just people in general. So I thank you for my time here, and I would love to come back and just give tips and just help others along the way to really build that life of overall wealth and wellness, because I'm really about living a life that's more happier, healthier, more peaceful and joyful, and we can live that despite the challenges that are still going on around us and will continue to go on around us. So thanks, Drummer.
Yes. Well, thank you, Ms. Thomas. We did have a couple of questions. I know in the chat there were a couple of people that said, um, "What about the homely challenge who refuse to take their meds and instead of taking their prescription meds, they self-medicate, alcohol, drugs? Is there any help for them? Because I know a lot of family members, those people have come back to the house, to the homes during this COVID-19 situation. A lot of people that were on medication have come back home, or that we got to see them and we got to deal with them, and it puts them in harm's way as well as us.
That is a very good question, Drummer. Thank you for whoever answered that, because that's so essential that we help all people, those that are disadvantaged, those who are unaware even of their need for help. There is a place called Mercy Care, and Mercy Care actually has an outreach program where they go into the community and assist the homeless population. They actually do evaluations, assessments in the streets. Also, now if it's say it's a loved one, a family member that you had, and you really want to try to get them the help that they need, mainly every county in Georgia has what we call the community board, a community board. And what a community board is a resource that provides assistance with health, our health, whether it is for substance abuse, meaning for drugs and alcohol use. Um, so check with I would say just look in, actually you can Google it, and I could probably provide this information later to Jump Drummer to be able to pass this
Okay.
down and maybe put it within your resources as well. But there are community boards that have resources for people that do not have insurance. So resources are available. Mental health is available even if you do not have insurance.
Okay, great, awesome. Also, during this time, well, even before we ever heard about COVID-19, during COVID-19, and with COVID-19, hereafter, a lot of people either did not go back to work, and that put them in a compromised position. You get a lot of anxiety. I know you got things that you do, things that you encourage people to do, because the workplace used to be a place where people could go and interact with people, for a couple of hours and then come back home and be with the family, significant others. So my question would be, how important is work in this current situation that we in? Some type of meaningful work.
Wonderful question, Drummer. How important is work, meaningful work, in this um, environment, in this level of a life that we are in terms of the effects and impacts of COVID? Having meaningful contributions to your life, whether it is in, say, work and being employed, is essential to our mental and emotional well being. even say for someone who is unemployed, having some type of significant type of, it doesn't have to be our traditional work, like, going to a 9 to 5 per se, but something that gives them meaning and that they're working towards a goal of contributing. Definitely with being taking out of the workplace, many are not even returning. Even for myself, I transitioned my practice more so virtually, but I actually am going to be starting a campaign and going around different facilities to at least reach out to others in other ways other than just being in an office. So I definitely even understand the transition, the changes that come, but having some type of meaning to what we do, maybe not the traditional job, but it definitely can impact our mental health.
Ah, and thank you. And I had this question because in relationships, uh, especially when it comes down to um, your significant other, and we in a divided country right now. It's like a battle between the vaccinated and the unvaccinated, and everybody's got their strong opinions about each side. But within households, there's been an increase of violence towards people within the household, the family members. Uh, is there any, I guess that's frustration, a lot of anxiety. Uh, it are there any things that programs, anything that you recommend for those people having those issues? You,
Is the question just in terms of being able to, what I hear is better building what we consider in my field that's called interpersonal skills, meaning that person to person, intra is more internal self relationship, but intrapersonal skills to better manage, say, beliefs or opinions as it relates to those that are vaccinated and unvaccinated. Would that be the question, Drummer?
yes, ma'am. Yes. That I like that. That. Yes, because
Okay,
uh,
okay, got it. In terms of, say, a program, this is something that I just work with clients that comes up very significantly, where even households are divided, where people, long-term friendships are breaking up because of their opinions. I would encourage first, without it just being a program, is first that we be willing to be respectful. If we come to a place of being more mindful of, it's okay to have a difference of opinion, but can we respect each other's views to say, if, hey, I may or may not be vaccinated, but a friend of mine, or say my mother or father, they are, and they want me to have a mask on, and I prefer maybe not to, that I'm willing to compromise. So what I would encourage in terms of building some healthy interpersonal skills is, how can I be willing to compromise knowing that this is what I believe, but in relationship to this other person, I'm willing to compromise on this, but also I know what my boundaries are. So what I help in terms of counseling my clients is knowing and staying firm on what are their boundaries, what are they willing to allow and not willing to allow, but also where is their place and space to be respectful and understanding of their friend or brother, sister, mom, dad, aunt, uncle, or what it may be in their perspective, and meet in the middle. How can we be willing to meet in the middle so we know the importance of maintaining this friendship or our family connection, because it is essential and it's not breaking up the bond over a difference of opinion. Now, if there was essential programming for that, it's all about really learning the skills. And sometimes we never even learn those skills in life. And it's okay to learn them even as we are adults, and being able to even teach that along with our children. So hopefully that answers your question.
yes, because during this time period, I think we have to uh, think a little bit before we engage into a lot of different conversation with people because everybody's at different levels and depends how you talk to them or approach them. That can turn into a situation. We've had people within families that uh had whether it be mental people that had problems with drugs and came back and started self-medicating, or even with the people that we thought were kind of sane, you know, just dealing with the fact that they don't want to be told what to do and what not to do. And not only creates problems within the family, but also the work environment. Uh, Recently, there was a lady. I think she was a non-mask wearer, and part of the unvaccinated. But when she went into a restaurant setting, she wanted everybody in the restaurant to have masks and some type of proof of vaccination. Well, she got into an altercation uh, with another person because of that. She was kind of hostile and all that. So, do you see just a rise? I know that's kind of can that be contributed to our mental health and our mental state that we so wound up that we taking our frustration out on each other. Do you see a lot of that lately?
So the sound quality was going in and out just a bit, drummer. Could you ask that for me? The last part I did hear was just in regards to maybe some heightened levels of uh, hostility amongst people and levels of anger increasing.
Yes, yes. Because of COVID, uh, some of the, we see the mental people, that we call mental, but there are some sane people that, you know, are making some harsh decisions uh and causing other problems. Like I said, with the lady, she was in a restaurant and she was non-mask wearing, didn't have a didn't get her vaccination, but she was so belligerent when it came to making sure that everybody in that restaurant had a mask, and she wanted some proof of them being vaccinated. Uh, and it got crazy because she got into an altercation with several of the people in the restaurant. So my question was, are you seeing a lot of people that used to be considered sane, but because of this whole controversy around uh, whether it be mask wearing, vaccinations, or COVID-19 itself, do you see them acting out a lot more now?
Terms of what people may be considered to not suffer from some mental health disorders or challenges to now they may be triggered. We call that being triggered by, say, a crisis, a situation, a stressor, which in terms of COVID 19 has definitely been a stressor for many. And so that triggers more heightened emotion in some. Have I seen that? Most definitely. My caseload definitely did increase, my clientele did increase. Um, in last year at its highest. And I definitely had to even take time off for myself to ensure that I was taking better care of me because I couldn't be a hero and helping everyone else. So, yes, there's definitely an increase, but I want to change the wording on that drummer in terms of, say, a mental patient or a mental person versus a sane person because mental health is every day. And so we experience mental health challenges. It could be when someone is fired from a job, or it could be when someone loses a loved one. That is mental health. Grief is mental health. The loss of employment is mental health because what you experience, what one may experience because of that loss, it can affect them in the way that they have never felt the impact of that stressor before. And so it may change the way they function in terms of their sleeping, their eating, their thinking, their behaving. So anyone can be affected negatively by mental health, but we can also turn it into a positive and have positive ways in terms of how we deal with mental health challenges to better navigate our lives. And so, overall, to your question, yes, it has definitely heightened over this past year and a half.
Wow. And uh, when we look, um, we can look back uh, prior to COVID-19. Uh, some of the underlying issues, especially in Black, Brown, urban communities, there were many issues that were not addressed, and those issues kind of compounded uh, what we currently going through. So we definitely encourage everybody uh, to seek out and look for help. Uh, don't try to go at it alone. Even within your families, you got to have some type of conversation, a dialogue, um, because everybody's dealing with it from different angles. The kids are dealing with it from a particular angle. I know you were stating that young people, teenagers especially, are dealing with this thing at a higher rate. We got a lot more suicides. We got a lot of more
Hi, it looks like we lost Reggie. This is Adrian and Ms. Thomas. Thank you. We did have. We're going to wait for Reggie to rejoin. Um, so, if you could tell everybody what your website is and any other follow up information you'd like to provide.
Most definitely. Thank you for again having me. My website is Sharia Thomas. That's Haria Thomas THOMAS.com. Also, I can be emailed at info at shariathomas.com. Same spelling. Phone number is 470-206-8205. 470-206-8205. I am in private practice. As I said, I'm reaching out more to the community. So I do have a blissful and radiant wellness community that is virtual that you can go to my website and sign up for. And I send out regular tips, resources, education to really improve health, being in a state of more of a happier, healthier, more peaceful life.
Yes, and thank you, Ms. Thomas. I know I think I dropped for a second. We thank everybody for their patience and everything. This is our first time streaming over here, and we're always looking at trying to bring awareness when it comes down to either training, informing, mobilizing, and empowering people. Because during this time period, we are at war. Believe it or not, we are in a battle, and either we say over here, either we are ready or we ain't ready. And we have to put ourselves in position to be better prepared, because the more prepared we are, and the more knowledgeable we are with the right information for the right time, for the right moment, for these situations we currently are undergoing, the better our chances of survival. Uh, we've been talking about so many things when it comes down to survival, but mental health, uh, making sure that we don't overload our minds and get frustrated, a lot of anxiety. There are a lot of people even just listening to what's going on every day. Sometimes you're going to have to pull away from the TV, social media, even your neighbors and some of your friends, because if they're just talking all the time about a lot of the negative things that are happening, a lot of us just can't digest all of that. And I know you shared some stuff earlier, uh, Ms. Thomas, about things that you could do, uh, some I guess some things that you can do to kind of strengthen your mental health capabilities to deal with a lot of these things, because we dealing with things now, uh, and it's at every age group, and every age group, every gender, uh, everybody's dealing with this thing from an uh, it's affecting all of us differently. You know, never before in the households did you have so much division. You got division between mothers and daughters, fathers and sons, uh, nieces and nephews, cousins, and that's just in the family. Then when you get outside in the workplace, people that you run into, bump into, whether it's at a coffee shop, a place that you eat, a church, a temple, or a mosque. We've had people that have had some very uh, bad exchanges with people that they were getting along with before, but this thing has put a wedge, not just COVID, I say from the political things that have been going on the last 8, 9 years or whatever. There's still people believe that the last president, Donald Trump, is coming back after Labor Day. You got a division right there. They are arguing and fussing over the election. They still doing that. There's still people frustrated because uh, about anything. And then with this virus and the new strand that's coming out, we see a lot of bad behavior in a lot of people. And we just have to get ourselves in position so that we can survive. So, is there anything else you want to add with us?
There is. I was just taking a look at the chat, and I saw a comment as it related to the mentally ill and there being no boundaries to someone who may be on drugs. I want to put out this disclaimer and let our audience viewers know that when it comes to anyone that is being hostile, that is being aggressive in terms of physically, verbally aggressive towards you, whether it is anyone, definitely reach out to either 911. Never. There is also a resource called Behavioral Health Link. Now, let's say this is a family member and someone that you care for, not someone that's a stranger or that you feel threatened by, is contact Behavioral Health Link. I don't have that information on hand, but again, I will provide that to Drummer and his producer, so this can be added to the podcast and that information can be included. What Behavioral Health Link is, it can even actually come out to the home and assess that person if they are deemed to be what might be considered a harm to self or others, then they can actually be involuntary hospitalized, even if they do not agree to it because of the symptoms that they may be displaying. So I want to make the people aware of that as it relates to dealing with those who may be considered, that would be considered to be severely mentally ill and actually not seeking the care and treatment that they need.
Yes, yes. And there are a lot of programs out there that people can, you know, get into, not even dealing with the mental health, but dealing with products and services that you might need for yourself, your family. And what I mean by that, food and things like that. So we encourage people to go to the United Way. You can go over there, unitedway.org. That's critical because during this time period, there's still people dealing with whether it be landlords trying to evict people. That can be frustrating. That can cause a lot of anxiety. People going up on your rent, people going up on your car note, people going up on all kind of things. And with the governors of many states, especially whether it's Georgia, Mississippi, Florida, where they're saying get back to work, get back to work, get back to work. A lot of people just not feeling that. Okay, so we have to really be a lot more cautious and careful. We had a lady that had a problem her workplace because she was vaccinated, and when she came back to the workplace, she was ready to go to work, but they wouldn't let her go to work. There was a lot of hostility inside the workplace. People uh, 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 even people started to you know threaten her and even damage her car. So these are the situations that we currently dealing with. And when you look at what can we do, there's help. You know, you don't want to be violent, but you got to protect yourselves at all times, spiritually, mentally, physically, socially. There are people that are being pressured, uh, and a lot of those things are unnecessary. Also, there are a lot of options out there, and the more you are aware of your options, the greater your chances of survival. You know, if you know you can get help, if you know help's available, and maybe you already know this. Maybe people out here already have help. Maybe you already have all the resources you need. But guess what? There are people in your family, your circle of influence, that will need some help. They're gonna need some money. They're gonna need somewhere to go. They're gonna need somebody to talk to. So if you can take any of this information, and we thank you, Ms. Thomas, for sharing that information with us tonight, the listening audience. It's been a treat. It's been a plum pleasing pleasure to have you on board with this information. But this information means nothing if you don't use it or share it, okay? Because if you can use this information and share it with your family, friends, and loved ones, guess what? That puts them in a better position when it comes down to survival. Uh, you know, we have to make sure we uh, address many of the things that not only we need, but the community needs. And one of those things is mental health. So we were definitely blessed this evening with Miss Sharia Thomas. Her information is available. Uh, One of the things I always try to finish up with, because we are in survival mode, okay? We are in a battle. And I encourage any and everyone, if you can uh, try to put some things together to help you in case of an emergency. Right now, over the weekend, they might have a storm. I think Ida down in Louisiana. They say it might be worse than Katrina. Okay, there's a potential of backlash from so much, so we have to have ourselves ready. Okay, so you have to talk to your family. You have to put small groups of people together that are thinking, and they're thinking about not just their survival, but the survival of the people who they care about. So we have to have conversations with our family members. Someone's got to talk to them, because there's a lot of frustration, a lot of anxiety, and if you're not a level-headed person, it might not be you. But even you need somebody to talk to. So I encourage you to, you can go to copin-19.org. That's COPIN-19.org. They have counselors, people that can talk to you. You got questions, they got some answers, okay? So we thank you all for joining us this evening. I thank our producer, uh, Miss Adrian out there, for keeping everything going. This whole live stream, I encourage and thank everybody that participated, your questions, all that, all those things. We had I think that's about a wrap. But for everybody that's joined us, as we get this one down and get ready for the next one, next week, I think next week we're gonna be talking to some people that have at least uh, been examined or diagnosed as asymptomatic or tested positive for COVID-19, or even that have undergone symptoms and been hospitalized. We have some success stories of people that, whether it's in their family, themselves. So next week we'll be talking to some people. If you know anybody, call me up at 678-508-1163, or go over to the We Are Ready page over on Facebook. We Are Ready, the number 2, and share that with us. Okay, that'll put us in a position where uh, we can we can at least dialogue and get some help, because a lot of people need some answers. Okay, and we use this particular time period to share information. It might be some information you heard before, or it might be some information that that you need and got other people involved with. But we encourage you to tag it. You got loved ones, people that you have within your own circles of influence. With that being said, this is Reginal Drummer, the Peopleologist. Thank you again, Miss Thomas. Thank you, Miss Adrian, for holding it down. And we'll see you at the top, or from the top. And guess what? That's quite quick.